you know. But let me share with you one story, because you talk about distractions.
Mm-hmm.
Have you heard, Mauro, the story of the professor that brought a mason jar to his class and he filled it with golf balls? Have you ever heard this story?
I think so, but go ahead. Now, I want you to tell it. I want you to tell
So
people
there's
to
a
understand it.
professor. Yeah, there's a professor that goes into his class and he brings a jar, and he takes out a bag of golf balls and he fills the jar full of golf balls, and he asks the class, is this jar full? And people said, yes, professor, it's full. Reaches into his briefcase, he pulls out some marbles, and now he throws the marbles in, and the marbles go into the crevices where the golf balls don't go. So he says, what about now? Class, is the class full, or is the jar full? And the class says, yes, professor, it's now full. So he goes again, and he goes under the desk and he takes out some sand and he pours the sand into the mason jar. And now the sand is in between the crevices where the marbles don't fit.
Mm-hmm.
So now he looks at the class and he goes, what about now? What about now, guys? So the class is like a bit annoyed. He says, yeah, okay, professor, like we get it. Like, okay, it's full now. Then he takes out some water and he puts the water into the water. He says, what about now? He says, okay, professor, we get it. Like, what's the moral of the story here?
Mm-hmm.
He says, the moral of the story is that the golf balls represent the most important areas of your life.
Mm-hmm.
And that the marbles and the sand and the water are all the things that distract you, all the shiny objects that keep you from focusing on the most important things in your life. And for me, that's why the vision board is that tool, because it talks about 8 golf balls, the 8 most important golf balls in your life, and finding balance on how you can navigate and create and move forward towards these desired states of all 8 of these golf balls. So, yeah, we're very distracted, because most people can't spend 20 seconds watching a YouTube video because there's 75 million of them.
Yep. That reminds me of this fascinating study they had where they put people in a room, right? And there's a button that says, listen, if you press this button, you'll get shocked. Okay. You'll get a little electrocution, right? And they asked people to just sit in the room for 8 minutes. And just don't touch the button. That's all you have to do. Just sit quietly and don't touch the button. And they found that up to 65% of the people would sit there and press the button. And some people multiple times, because they just couldn't sit there quietly for, I think it was 8 or 20 minutes. Well, I forget what the study is now. But the whole point is that majority of people couldn't even sit there quietly, sitting in a chair, that they had to stimulate themselves by electrocuting themselves.
Yeah.
And that's very much, I think that yeah, I think those things speak for themselves. And what I wish for people, and I've always said that for me, fitness is a vehicle to a more fulfilled life, because along the path, you learn about yourself, you learn about your capabilities, you learn how to eat in a certain way, you learn how to get more sleep, recovery, all this stuff. You start to learn and to be more capable. And that just makes life a little bit more fulfilling, if at the very least, it gives you enough energy to live more and not just to get your work done. So that is why I do what I do. And I see exactly what you're doing here to support people and just being more connected to their true self, to remembering. And what I want for people is to sign up for that vision board, that workshop, if they're ready to make these changes. Because I think it'll be something profound for them. It'll be something that gives them more direction, and what better time than the new year.
Exactly. Exactly. There was a study that came out that said 8% of New Year's resolutions actually get fulfilled.
Yep.
So vision boards are the way to go. I can't emphasize it enough, you know?
Mm-hmm. So Mel, if you were to, if I'm going to give you a choice on this one, if you were to talk to yourself, maybe the little Italian Mel at home playing for the North York Blizzards, or if somebody's about to come work with you, what would you want to tell yourself? Or what do you wish that person, before they come to you, understood, or just maybe something you're not able to tell them, but you would want them to know before they get started?
I think that what I would tell myself is spend more time in silence, because there's a lot of knowledge in the silence. That's what I would tell people. That's what I would tell myself. And what I would tell somebody else is, if you're coming to me, come to me because what I'm offering is in alignment with who you are. Because if it is, then you'll be very successful.
Mhm.
Think about this, Mauro. Two people are doing the same job. Two people are equally as skilled. One is doing it because they have to do it, or they're doing it for the money, and the other doing it is because they absolutely love to do it. Who would you go to?
Mhm.
Who would you go to?
Love
If
to
the
love-
answer is the ones who's passionate, then as far as I'm concerned, that's
Yes.
the right answer.
Yes. No, absolutely.
So it's a great question, and the thing that I also do with my clients, and if your audience and your followers want to try this, is write your eulogy.
Mm.
Write your eulogy. What are people going to say at your funeral? Do you think that they're going to say, wow, Mauro was a great worker, man. He was a really good roofer. Man, could he ever put a roof up? Or are they going to say that Mauro was this kind-hearted man who wanted nothing more than to help others become the grandest versions of themselves? And he did that through sacrifice. And he did that by helping others because he understood the value of helping others. Because by helping others, he lifted his spirit. That's Mauro.
Mhm. That's actually, yeah, that's the most. Yes, I did. It's funny because I did this exercise many eons ago, reading a book, and I think that really gave me clarity, and I made some pretty big life decisions based on that new clarity that I was able to find. And this is why I wish for people to find that clarity with either working with yourself or in some way, because if without knowing this X on the map, how do you know where you're going? How do you know how to plan your journey if you don't even know where you're going? So as you said, you got to gain that clarity. And that's what I wish for people. I wish that more fulfilled life. And I want to thank you, Mel, for coming on and sharing all your knowledge, sharing these stories, and allowing me to nerd out on about a few things as well. Because I find it's going to be impactful, and it's been a pleasurable experience for me. So again, thank you for coming on to the Insight Change podcast.
Thank you, my friend, and I really appreciate the opportunity. It feels nice to be able to talk about something that I'm passionate about for 60 minutes, and just to have the opportunity to share what's in my heart. And again, with the hope that somebody's going to listen and go, "Wow, that was powerful. I'm ready to make some changes in my own life."